I'm Emmy Hines, and I will be the Deputy Principal and the PYP Coordinator starting at the new school year of 2020 and 2021. I want to go ahead and take a few minutes to discuss our class setups for next year. Because we are looking at composite classes, I thought it would be important to just spend a few minutes discussing what these look like and why we are currently going into classes such as these. So let's just start with the basics. What is a composite class? A composite class is two or more consecutive groups in one class. So for example, years 1 and 2, years 3, 4, years 5, 6, and 7, 8 will be our composite classes for next school year. With history of composite classes, these are actually something that is not new. They are very common forms in class organizations around the world, such as in Australia, New Zealand, UK, and in the States. Now, I know you might be asking, well, in Asia or in Thailand, these are not very common. And that is true. However, because UDIS believes in what we are doing and we always do what is best for our learners, we place them at the center of our decision making. Because learners, we want them to build a solid foundation and a family setting, just like we do in real life. We believe that collaboration, socialization, and the ability to learn from others across different ages is very important, and it's a lifelong skill for them as well. So these are the basic reasons why we will be changing our classrooms around. We believe that they have the opportunities in a larger classroom with more children. Now, we're not saying that we're going to go ahead and we're going to have class sizes of 30, but we are saying that we would like the children to have opportunities in possible settings such as 10, 15, possibly 20 in their classroom. Because we do believe that the more socialization and the more ability to collaborate with different age groups is most beneficial to them. Some advantages of the composite classes for lower levels, such as you might be a parent thinking, well, my child is the younger out of the two grades. What's going to happen to them? Are they going to be expected to possibly learn something that they're not ready for? That's an excellent question. And on this, we actually are giving opportunities for younger learners to extend their abilities. So, such as being able to be in different groups in different content areas. So, for example, maybe they are showing a greater ability in maths. That means that they will be able to explore different content areas that maybe they wouldn't be able to get a chance to in a one-year level. Or possibly your child might need some more scaffolding or more opportunities in language. And then that means that they will actually be able to be divided by their ability and again, not by their age. They will also have more of an ability to learn from their peers in their classroom to gain knowledge in group setting, such as they can learn and they can look at the older students, see how they're doing something. Children are very equipped to learn from each other. That is a great advantage of having composite classes, but actually for us, even at UDIS, without composite classes, we believe that learners should learn from themselves within different types of group settings, such as small group, large group, one-to-one, pairing. These are very commonly seen throughout our classes, whether it's a composite classes or just a single grade level. Also, younger learners are able to see how things are done and aspire to be like the older classmates. So again, they are seeing role models within those classrooms and within those environments daily and weekly. And so that allows those younger learners to possibly look at and inspire for them to be just like those other learners in the classrooms. Now, you might be a parent and asking, well, my child is in the higher grade of the two grades put together. So what does that mean? Are they going to have to relearn something that they've already learned before? Again, these are great questions to ask. And for us, we do believe that this allows your child to have a greater flexibility for each area that they're learning throughout the day, throughout the week, possibly throughout a unit, depending on what it is that they're looking at. That means maybe there is some information that they might have missed somewhere along the line. It just allows them to possibly either look at it again and go into further depth into what that knowledge might be that they need for their foundation in order for them to move up to the next. It also could be an area where they actually get to reteach what they already know to some of the other learners. Again, it doesn't have to be a younger learner because we are basing this on ability. So maybe it is a child of the same year level, but they just need possibly a little bit more of a foundation or some different strategies. So a child who has greater depth in a certain area may be able to actually show more leadership and gain higher self-esteem because they're able to teach a peer in their classroom how to do something. Possibly this could be a science experiment, or teach them about place values in math, or show them how to write a story a little bit more in depth than what they would be able to do, again, if they were in a single leveled classroom. Advantages to all learners in composite classes. We are an inclusive school, so that means that we actually are able to include all learners, no matter what abilities they come in with. So this could be a child possibly who is brand new to UDIS, who has never actually used English in order to express what they're feeling. So we invite them in with an open sense of ability that they can do this. And by inspiring all children to be able to know that not everybody is going to be able to do the same things you do or the same things as another child in the classroom can do. It's just like real life. We all have different abilities and interests. And because of that, we also believe that it provides a family setting by combining different age groups in a classroom. The other ability for all learners is that the groups are fluid and they're flexible because they are based on ability. Every child goes into a group to fit their need and not on their age. Again, that is something that we do throughout UDIS. Again, whether it's a composite or a single level classroom, is we always base them on ability. But again, this just allows for more of a family setting, and again, based on real life. Teaching style for us. Our teaching is student-centered. So the learning needs of individuals are catered for. Much of the teaching work is conducted within small groups and based on a need or a goal. Differentiation is a big key for us, and it's based on students, and they are planned to enhance the learning. So again, it does not matter whether they are the younger age level in that group or the older age level. It is based on their need. It is based on their interest. This does mean that our teachers do a lot of planning, and it is a little bit more work for them. But the great thing is about our teachers that they are all on board for these changes for next year, and that they for next year. The other great thing about our teachers for next year is that they've actually already have taught in composite classes in their past. So whether that's been at UDIS or that's been at previous schools before ours. Some key components of our classes are ability groups, differentiation for all learners based on ability, knowing each child's ability across the content areas, and understanding the learners and their interest. Hopefully we'll answer any of questions that you might have that are remaining that were not covered in the slides so far.
Today is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. Our 3 groups that we have in our classroom consist of children from the ages 4 through 9. So mostly when we group them, our 4 and 5-year-olds are grouped together. Our 6 and 7-year-olds are grouped together, and our 8 and 9-year-olds are grouped together. And then we move children accordingly from there. So any of the 3 groups may have a 3-year age span in them. What multi-age allows you to do is really differentiate within a group of children and meet all their specific needs. I always remind people, though, you can be in a straight run, I'll say 3rd grade. You can say 5th grade, I can say 6th grade. You can be in one classroom, a traditional classroom, and still have as many levels as I might have in my multi-age classroom. Because students are all different. Children are individuals and they learn at individual rates. The key component to multi-age is really knowing the developmental levels of students versus the grade level. And you have to really educate yourself as an educator, and families. We have to really work hard to make sure families understand that. All right, so here's our learning intention today. Let's look at it together. It says, we are learning. We are working on our language arts block. They start in their whole group where you work on your key objective, state your learning intentions and your success criteria. And then they break into different literacy stations. Some of them do a phonics or word work station or a vocabulary station. One of the other stations we have is our RAS Kids, which is a computerized reading program that differentiates right for the children. It gives them reading at their level. So within our stations, we're also differentiating. They're not just put in one set group for their whole entire day. They're moving around all the time based on their different needs throughout the day, and they don't even know that you're doing it. They are a part of a classroom and a family of kids that are in this room all helping each other, and they're learning together.
We start out in a whole group for a whole group instruction, and we break down into cooperative groups. The main objective in a cooperative group is to support and encourage each other so that everybody is focused on task and helping each other to learn and to be successful.
We do a lot of partnering. For example, in science and social studies, if we have something to read, you'll partner someone with very strong literacy skills with someone that may need a little help.
Sometimes it's small grouping. You know that some children are going to need a little extra, so while the other kids are going and starting the assignment, you take a small group and do more of a guided assignment with them.
When they're at their stations, they're definitely in a heterogeneous group. But when we call them over for support to work right with the teacher, then it's a more homogeneous group depending on whatever skill we're trying to develop at that time or what each group needs.
Within each group, we also try to balance different strengths. We try to balance the kids that tend to be your stronger readers, stronger writers, kids that tend to be more creative, artistic. This is one of our teaching tools that we use, a document that we hand to our students in order to help us group them and in order to differentiate based on their interests.
I will group them based on what I know is their different learning styles, and sometimes intentionally put them in a situation where they have to work with someone who is a very different type of learner, because they end up getting so enriched from that experience and they find out that it's rewarding and they can benefit each other.
In our multi-age classroom, students are grouped together like they are in the real world. We have regular ed mixed with special ed, and we have various needs, various learning styles, readiness levels. The special ed student is not always the youngest in the classroom. They're not always the student who's behind in the classroom. They are leaders. And it's easier to build on their strengths and have them take those leadership roles and help others, which really helps with their self-esteem.
Our philosophy is that the kids learn as much from each other as they do from their teachers.
And they're able to learn from a larger span of their peers. And in a traditional classroom, you would only have one grade level and they'd be very limited.
I think the children kind of gravitate towards the stronger children in here, which is really nice about having the groupings this way, because they see, oh, these kids are reading at a higher level and they're doing a different kind of packet. I want to get there too. I can do this. I want to work with them because I can learn different things. Or even if they don't even know it, they're really watching and learning. They're able to take what they've seen and then make it their own. But I think that they're elevated to a level that maybe they didn't think they could achieve at first.
The older students, they're taking like a leadership role, even though they might not consciously know that they're doing that. Like, I'm going to be a leader in here. The things that they do or they say is really, I feel, noticed by the ones who are new in the unit.
I always lean on my sixth graders as great leaders. I say, you've been with me for a year. You know what to expect. So please take those fifth graders and help them so they can grow as a human being. So that's the nice part about having a multi-age group.
We become like a family. The kids, as they get older, really become very protective of the little children. They all become like their big brothers and sisters. Our oldest students really show the little kids what to do. And the kids really begin to know what their expectations are. We have 4-year-olds in our class and 5-year-olds who, at the beginning of the year, you'd be teaching them a lot of routines. How do we take our backpack off? How do we get our folder out? And things like that. And in a multi-age classroom, you partner them with a 7-year-old, say, and they learn all those routines and they get right into the swing of school and things like that. You can work more on academics because they want to be like their, older peers in the class, and it just can just really succeed.
I do hope that this was able to answer some of your questions that you might have had. I also want to make sure that you understand it is understandable to have questions, as it isn't so common in Thailand to have composite classes. However, we as a school do believe that we always put our learners first and foremost into our decision making. So because of that, and again, our composite classes that we've had in the past, we do know that we have had success in this. And of course, our continued enrollment of those students as well has continued. For our school, or when we go back to face in our school, we get into our composite classes, we will go ahead and make a few videos to represent what our classes would look like within our school setting, and not necessarily use somebody else's video. But this at least gives you a good idea on how we will go ahead and get started. And hopefully this does answer some of your questions for moving forward for our 2020-2021 school year. All right, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope it